Retweet.
Oh, that never works for me.
And
I
nothing
should
cute.
probably,
Cute
I
to
should probably
say.
subscribe to our YouTube stream, huh?
You know,
Help.
you could be subscriber 141 there. That'd be awesome.
I'm just
skipping over
kidding.
this
I'm
stuff.
already subscribed.
I don't believe him.
You know, I can tell.
Okay. Are my
Wait.
levels okay now? Everything's good?
Yeah, you sound fine. All right. Ready to start local?
Wait, when I clicked on the link, it just took me to the channel, not to our actual stream.
Yes, it does that.
Yeah, there should
Okay.
be something saying we're live now on that page, isn't there? No?
I only see 202 as of the latest. And that was 6 days ago.
Oh, I wonder if I updated the title. Shit.
It takes
Well,
it takes a
no,
minute. That's
it
why
was
people.
It was 6 days ago.
Oh, I still need to make sure I updated the title. Yeah, there's a 5-10 minute delay, but it should show something there that we're going live.
5 or 10 minute delay? Are you
Yeah.
crazy? I've never noticed that before.
Hmm.
Are you sure?
Do you ever
No.
notice that live people always have like an intro thing that's just running for a while?
But I normally can share the stream to Facebook. Like I click on the link from Twitter, it takes me to. Maybe I just always share our channel. I don't know.
Yeah, you're
So
right.
if you-
Actually, I clicked on videos. I see 203 live stream.
Yeah, there it is.
I just don't see it on the landing page, but yeah,
It's not on the landing page. That's stupid.
that is stupid. And I know there's got to be a way to do that. So I'll have to look at it.
We are going. Whoops. Going live. Whoops. How about this? I must apologize.
It's always
We
good to start with an
are-
apology.
I know how to do this properly.
Lord, forgive me for what I'm about to do.
Are you guys ready to start recording or what?
I've been waiting on you.
Yeah.
Start local. 3, 2, 1, go.
Done. All right. Time to go.
Start
Time to sign off.
faster.
Good
3,
night.
2, 1,
I'm
go.
John Congdon.
Clap check. 3, 2, 1. Fantastic. Okay, where's my Trello board? 203. Okay. You're listening to episode 203. Why do I say 203? You're listening to episode 203 of PHP Ugly. I'm your host, Eric Van Johnson, and with me, as always, are my two friends, John Congdon.
You wasted no time. Went right into it.
And Thomas
I'm
Ryder.
here.
I'm Thomas.
And I use the word friends very loosely, obviously. What are you guys doing?
You are mean.
Shopping on Amazon.
What are you getting?
Making Jeff Bezos richer.
Richer. $200
Ah,
billion. He's the
Yes.
$200 billion man right now.
I had not heard that. I was just being saying it in general, not realizing there was a story behind that.
First man in
yes,
history.
yesterday.
First individual in history to reach that monument or whatever you would call it.
Yes, and in celebration, some protesters set up a guillotine outside his house.
Yeah, I didn't get that. What was the point of that?
The French Revolution.
Okay. But he's not.
I'm not getting it either.
I mean,
Sorry, I'm dumb. I don't know what it's all about.
yeah, I don't. I understand people are upset by it, and they're upset with the way some of the ways that Amazon employees are treated, and it's a big company, and I get all that, and he has an obscene amount of money, and I get that, but I don't know. Somebody's gonna have a lot of money. Thomas,
Not always.
You seem like you want to say something about it, but you're not. So I appreciate it. I guess I don't know. I don't know why it's that big of a story. Maybe it's a bigger story than I know. I just don't. I don't care.
Just because we are in an unprecedented era of financial inequality in America, and we've also produced the richest man in history.
I get that. I see the irony there, and the oddest thing about it is that richest man in history is at odds with the president of the United States, who considers himself one of the richest people in the world. So I think that's kind of funny because Trump hates Bezos, hates Amazon.
Are they?
Oh,
yeah.
He can't
For
stay.
sure.
One of the reasons why he's trying to break the post office is because he thinks Amazon gets too good of a deal using the post office. He's pissed. So you know what? The more successful he gets, I just hope he gets under Trump's skin a little bit more. So I'm kind of rooting for the guy, to be honest with you.
Well, he doesn't care.
No, he doesn't. He really
makes
doesn't.
you feel any better.
I'm waiting for him to buy California and just kick everybody out of the state because
fuck it.
Keep it for himself. Trump would sell it to him too. I'm sure of it. Okay, how's everybody doing?
I wasn't expecting that.
Doing good, keeping very busy. Working my way back to an old project that I finished up a few months ago.
How's that old? That's only a few months.
Well, we don't all have pull requests that last years.
Ouch.
Okay.
That was good.
Oh, I've got a story there. Go ahead.
We're migrating a lot of stuff to the WebP image format.
Oh, cool.
And, trying to save some money by halving the size of all of our images on our site, which, numbers in the hundreds, if not millions. The hundreds of thousands, if not millions.
I was going to say.
I understand that is a big range. But the interesting thing about that is because we have so many images and they're generated dynamically when an instance is created, we have to reprocess everything from scratch, which is going to take a long, long, long time. And so
it's not like you have to wait for that to finish in order to start serving the ones you've already created.
Well, even better than that is I'll be on vacation while it's running this generation for 2 weeks. So I won't even have to worry about monitoring it or worrying about it.
Did you just come back from vacation? Weren't you just on vacation?
No.
Oh.
No, I haven't taken vacation since Christmas last year.
Okay.
Which is a thing I keep forgetting to do.
He talked about it last week about going on vacation soon.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Right.
I thought it was next week. It turns out it is not. It's a week from then. So
okay.
I was really excited on Wednesday that I only had 2 days left of work. And it was
got a whole another week to go.
Crushing fall from grace.
But you're not going anywhere, so what's it matter if it's next week or the following week?
Vacation. I get to sleep in.
No, but what I'm saying is, do you have to request in advance? Hey, I want to take this week off, or do you have something planned with the wife where she's taking time off at the same time?
No, we wouldn't do that. We want to have a nice vacation. If we're both not working for a 2-week period of time and the kids are going to school, we would go insane.
Are you kids physically going to school?
Funny story.
Okay.
So my kids
Simple
have
yes or no, but okay.
My kids had a check-in day where they got their IDs done and they got their curricula stuff from their teachers, and so the whole thing was paced out over the period of a week so that not all the kids were in the school at once.
Makes sense.
But my youngest goes to a much smaller, what you guys would consider a magnet school, and they had a new students day, which was Monday, and a returning students day, which was Tuesday. and somebody from the Monday crew tested positive or is symptomatic, and so they have decided not to do any kind of in-school stuff for the next couple months now.
Ugh.
Even though he was going to have like 1 day a week in school, but now the whole thing's shut down again. And another school in this district is shutting down after less than a week of being open for the same reason. And my wife is still going to school every day because she works with the special needs program.
Right.
And they are kids who can't do distance learning. They have communications issues. They have behavioral issues. They have physical issues. So she has to be there to be with them, but she also has to get them to wear face masks and face shields, which if you've ever worked with autistic children, doesn't seem like the most fun thing to try and get a child to do. And so she's having fun with that. It's a struggle. But my
now
kids,
is fun in quotes, or is fun like she's really having fun with it?
she is one of those people who is honored to be able to work with these children. So she is frustrated and exhausted, but she loves the kids that she works with.
Oh.
So it is.
What about your kids, John? What's the plan there?
Oh, virtual.
Oh, okay.
It was so throughout the summer, as they were trying to figure out what they were going to do, they were giving people the option of virtual or in school if it's available. We are lucky enough to be in a position where we can do virtual. You know, my wife stays at home with the kids. So we made that decision early on, and then the school said, we're sick of flip-flopping, going back and forth. Poway Unified said we're going strict virtual at least until January.
That's right. I
think
forgot that's considered Poway Unified. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they backed down from that, so it's not necessarily till January at this point, but it's still going to be virtual for the time being.
Cool.
So
Yeah, it's a mess. It's really all up in the air for all the parents and the teachers. You know, my wife, like I said, is getting updates every day on whether or not she's going to be going to school tomorrow, or if they're going to have to close down because something happened within the staff. Or it's a mess. And not to get political here,
Hard not to, but give it a shot.
but I'm gonna. There are a lot of pictures going around on the internet of kids sitting outside of restaurants on laptops getting free Wi-Fi because they just don't have internet at home, and
This is the other thing.
only option they have for education is now this online learning stuff. And we are at a point now where we have to declare internet access a public utility.
I
We are
agree.
too far into it.
I agree. And I mean, you have kids that still have to go to school to get meals. I mean, you think those kids have
Right.
internet access at home? No, they don't. So yeah.
And I'm all for the praise that musicians and you know, rappers and movie stars and TV stars are getting for showing up in communities and giving food out. But there's something fundamentally wrong in society when we're relying on the good deeds of Keanu Reeves or 50 Cent to supply these malnourished children.
Yeah.
It's really ugly out there.
All right, John. So John and I were just talking before the show started. I don't think we've spoken to each other since the last show. This might have been the first time in about 5 years we've gone a week without speaking to each other.
Was he giving you the silent treatment? Did you do something?
That's the funny thing about it.
No,
When we're mad at each other, we tend to talk to each other more than when we're not mad at each other.
no, Friday you went to Arizona, right? So you were out Friday.
Oh, that's right. That was last week.
Saturday, Sunday. Monday and Tuesday, I was on very, very long planning meetings for Phone Burners Project. So I was on the phone for over 8 hours for 2 days straight. And then just trying to get work done. It's just been a busy, busy week. between the planning meetings and other phone calls and then personal family issues, it's just been a long week.
So no coding, just planning, a whole week of planning? Or did you do any
No,
development?
there's been coding, there's been frustrations, beating myself up over it. I've vented with a couple people, like just you know, there's one area of the code base where there's a JavaScript file that is over 2,000 lines long,
Mm-hmm.
and you get in there to make a change or do something and misunderstand some requirements. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make this better, and then you end up breaking things, and you get the back and forth on the PR, and hey, this isn't working, or this doesn't work the way the other one does. I'm like, well, that's the point. It's not supposed to work like that. Well, why not? I'm like, because we are doing something new. And then I go to try and find the task, and I realize, well, crap, I misunderstood what the goal of this whole damn thing was. So just a super long week, super frustrating. Like I said, I was venting with people saying, almost wanting to throw my hands in the air. Like, I quit. Like, I don't want to deal with this part of the code. There's too many issues. After venting, I felt better. Sometimes it's nice just to say I quit.
Do you vent to your wife? Does she have the capacity to hear it out?
All the time. I feel bad for her. No, she's really good about listening and understanding and trying to give advice of, well, did you think about it from this perspective? I'm like, damn you, stay out of this.
Yes, quit it with your logic.
Stop trying to think about other people for a minute. Think about me.
Can't you see
Yeah,
I've been
she's
paying?
really good about it.
Yeah, I've been in.
How about you,
I've been
Eric?
in refactoring hell this week as well. I took on a refactoring task for a client, and I knew it was going to be a big one because it's like the core of the application and how they charge for the application and all. Where it was a it sounds so simple when I say it out loud. It was a one to many relationship. Now it's a many to many relationship. So now there's a pivot table involved, and depending on
But there's but it's fully unit tested, so it's easy, right?
yeah,
An easy refactor.
you know, I'll put it to you like this: none of the tests are failing yet. So there's just rabbit hole after rabbit hole right now of just kind of just following the code and saying, okay, where do I have to go now? And yes, you're absolutely right. If this is a case study of where having tests in place would definitely help. It would not make it any easier because you still have to figure out the code and figure out the logic, but it would make, when I'm done with it, make me feel a lot more comfortable that I've covered all the use cases. Like right now, I'm just kind of.
Good.
I said right now.
I was gonna say.
God damn it. You said go ahead. You said it.
You said go ahead to it. Go.
Right now, I'm just following the code, so I'm just seeing where the code leads me and finding where things break, but
Yeah, what I was going to say is with unit tests in place, normally when you change usually that endpoint, the database connection and the data that gets returned, or the service that consumes the database layer, all your other tests would break. Now you know what you have to go fix.
yeah.
That's one good aspect of having the unit test in place is you change something, everything kind of related to that should break, so you know what you have to go fix later in a refactor like that.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. I've been on this one task now for the last week since Monday, and it's just like I don't feel any closer to being done, although I know I am. It's just, I just wish I hadn't taken the task now. But it's fun. It is what it is, But today was Laracon. Did either of you guys... Or wait, yesterday was Laracon. Did either of you guys check
Was
in
it
on
yesterday?
It was yesterday. I dropped in on it.
You did. I think the
Yeah.
videos just came out. Like literally, like I think I got an email an hour or so ago. I never check my email, so it could have come in this morning. I don't know.
No, it was just a couple hours ago. I've watched a couple of them so far
Oh, have
that
you?
I missed out when I was mostly interested in the machine learning talk.
So I missed that one. I actually missed
Um,
a good chunk of it. I kind of popped in on Taylor's about halfway through, and then I watched a couple of others. The machine learning one I did miss, and I had an opportunity to see it, but I got busy with something else. How was that?
um, not the greatest.
Okay,
Uh,
not worth watching.
I don't know. I wish I had seen a lot more code and a lot more concept. It was really just an introduction to a library that the presenter had written to unify the big three machine learning
Platforms.
systems.
Yeah.
Platforms. So it wasn't an in-depth thing into implementing machine learning. But it did definitely give me some good ideas about where machine learning fits into my use case, and where it's somewhat trivial to drop it in for small things that I had thought of. So
Worth
it
watching.
was as inspiration. It was at least worth watching.
If you're listening to the podcast, you don't know what we're talking about. We're talking about Laracon, which is the conference for the Laravel framework. Typically, this is a physical conference that you go to. There was a Laracon online conference for the last couple of years. This is not that, or was originally not that. This year was supposed to be in Atlanta. It was supposed to be at an aquarium. I mean, they're fun conferences. It's a fun conference to go to. Obviously, because of COVID, they went online. And I got to be honest, this was the one. Like I've done the Laracon online one before, and my expectations for that, the bar is set pretty low. I just kind of, it's cheap. I enjoy it, and they lowered the price for this Laracon because it was also online. Matter of fact, it was ran by the same people who run Laracon online. But I got to be honest, like, not going, this one was like, I don't know. It's like, all right, yeah, another online conference. It's a glorified meetup, blah blah. I don't know. I felt this like I look forward to going to Laracon.
It was $25.
I look.
Too. It wasn't
exactly.
$350.
I look forward to going to Laracon. There are people I only see once a year. It's at Laracon I see them. My Canadian buddies, a couple other friends, TJ, a few other people.
Me.
It's the only time I physically see them, and you're not having that this year, and just having it be online after I've already done an online one. I've done a couple of pretty nice meetups as well. It's like, okay, well, yeah, this is cool, I guess. But,
Well, it's a lot of it was here's my new package I wrote, and sort of presenting it to the world.
and that's what I'm getting tired of. This was one of my criticisms about the conference as well. It's not only it's fine if it comes from Taylor because this is his framework and everybody's interested in what Taylor's working on. But it's always the same people just presenting a package and saying, "Okay, here's what I did last year." And it's like I don't care anymore. I just don't care. I appreciate everything you're doing, but give me something else to watch or talk about, or I don't know. That's where
Yeah.
That was my problem with even the in person. The in person I got more out of the relationships like you talked about, seeing people in the community, friends, people you only see once or twice a year. But the conference itself was, granted, I've only been once.
Mm-hmm.
It's just hearing people how they start their business around Laravel or the package they wrote wasn't all that to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This presentation was Freek Vanderherten presenting his multi-tenancy package, which has such a narrow scope. We've talked about it in the past on the podcast when he first announced it, and we didn't understand what it was.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. It's worth the $25. The talks are 30 minutes long. They run through some good stuff. I mean, just Adam Wathan's talk about building components with Tailwind is worth $25 if you're going to use Tailwind, because it's just a little rundown of how he perceives the usage of Tailwinds.
But
it's better than the docs.
But that's another thing. It's like he always has this, well, this is how I'm doing things now, talks. And it's like, okay, but is that really the best way to do it? I mean, I understand that's how you do it. I remember he had a whole talk on collection chaining once. I'm like, okay, that looks cool, but is that really good? I don't think it is. And that's that was the other challenge with this conference, because again, when it's in person, it's typically on the East Coast, but you travel to it. This one, they still keep East Coast hours, so I think they start at like 9 a.m., which is 6 a.m. for us. So like by the time we get up, get online, you've missed 2-3 hours of the conference already. But fortunately, you have all the videos.
I take it though that you did watch Caleb Porzio's presentation.
You know I did. You know I'm a fan.
So the reason
I heard all about that.
Caleb, Livewire, baby.
The reason I didn't start with his presentation when I got the email that the videos were released was because I knew I could depend on you to just give me the rundown, and I can roll my eyes while you do it. So what did he say?
Actually, not a whole lot. He's releasing Livewire 2. There are a couple of improvements to it, but it was the same. It was the same Livewire pitch that he's been doing in all the greatness about it. I still would like. We were complaining last week or a couple weeks ago about somebody proposing a PR to have Pest included in Laravel, and how why do that? It's already a package. Blah blah blah. That's kind of how I feel about Livewire. It's like Livewire needs to be in the core of Laravel. Like, yeah, it's great that it's a package, but why wouldn't you have that there? We have Argus going. Argus is getting its feet under it, and it's picking up some steam, and we're very happy. Because of how we were looking at implementing it, we were on the fence on whether or not we were going to offer this to the public, right? So we still don't have like a billing section done for it. So we'll have to get the billings kind of ironed out if we actually do offer this to the public. And if you missed it last week, I mentioned that we do have a wait list now for Argus. So if you want to go sign up for early access, we'll give it to you. We won't charge you until we have some billing in place. But it's okay.
It's early bird all over again.
But so Argus is going. I'm happy with it. It's very simple. It's very minimal. It does what it needs to do. I have some ideas on what I want it to do next, but I'm super excited about the next project we're looking at spinning up. And after watching the talks, Taylor's talks specifically on Laravel 8, I already put the brakes on it and say, okay, let's wait for another week or two for Laravel 8 to come out, and we'll just start this new project on that. So I'm excited. I'm excited about the project. Yeah. We got to get something going before we talk about it, but it's going to be fun. It's actually going to be a fun one. It's not a geeky one. I mean, it's geeky for us because we're coding it, but it's going to be something like anybody can use, and I'm actually very excited.
And I gotta give Eric a lot of credit, because the concept was pretty easy. I threw up very minimal information into GitHub, and then the way Eric took that and turned it into tasks for developers, and the way he kind of wrote it up, really impressed me.
Thank you.
Really good.
Thank you, buddy.
So, what did you see in Laravel 8 that interests you?
It wasn't Laravel 7.
So there were a couple things. So with Laravel 8, Taylor also announced what do you call it, Jetstream, which will be I think it was another package. I don't think it's there by default. Did you watch Taylor's talk?
Is that the name of his Ferrari?
It wasn't Jetstream, was it? Jetstream uses Laravel Fortify.
Wow,
That was it.
That's cool that you even knew that. Yeah. Well, but
I happened to see it on Twitter or something.
Jetstream was the package that interests me a lot because it's adding functionality to the authentication process. So where there's an auth package in Laravel now, as anybody who spun up a Laravel package app knows. This kind of takes it a step further. My understanding of it, and again, I didn't catch Taylor's whole talk, so I missed bits and pieces of it, but I thought he said that they basically were pulling out all the stuff from Spark that wasn't like all the front-end stuff for Spark and adding it to this package. So the package now has the package has the ability to create a user, as always. That user has a profile that they can now edit. So before you had to go create your own profile page for users to edit. There's another package you can add onto it for teams, so you don't have to go through that. That's actually something we do actually very frequently, where we have to create teams because typically the apps we develop has this concept of teams. So this has a package for that. It has two-factor authentication built into it, which I guess wasn't that hard to implement in Laravel. My buddy Matt was saying, yeah, that's that's a very easy thing to implement.
Yes, it is.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that all kind of looked cool, but I don't know. I mean, it's new. It's pretty. So Jetstream uses Livewire. I think it was Jetstream that used Livewire. So that was cool.
But to go back to Answer's question is, you're waiting for Laravel 8, so you don't have to go through the upgrade process from 7 to 8 in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
kind of pointless to build now and have to upgrade right away.
Thomas, did you watch Taylor's talk?
I haven't watched it yet.
Okay, so I didn't actually hear a lot of backwards breaking changes. So there's even
everything I've seen so far says forward compatibility. He added the app models directory,
right?
And he did it in a way that is backward compatible. So the generators and everything still work correctly. They just know where to look now.
Right. So basically, if you don't want the models directory, you delete it, and it falls back to the app directory.
Right.
And even like Factory's got a big rework. But if you want to continue using what's now being called the legacy way of doing factories, there's a package you can add. Like if you're upgrading a 7 to 8 app, you can add a legacy factories package and not even have to rework your factories anymore. They'll just continue to run. So I keep saying I didn't watch the whole thing, but I can't remember anything that he said that was a backwards breaking change as of yet.
The minimum version for PHP is the backward breaking change that he's currently acknowledging. The upgrade guide for 8 is still not fleshed out, but it does mention that PHP 7.3 is the minimum now.
I don't know. Well, pushing it forward. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if it were me, I wouldn't.
That's awesome. Keeping people on their toes to upgrade their OS, their PHP version, as well as their library or their library.
One thing I did catch was so he was demonstrating queues and a couple of changes they made to queues, which I want to get back to, but he showed so he was using a database for his queue manager, so that he could show that the jobs are queuing up and stuff like that. And the one thing I noticed is that the ID of the jobs on the jobs table was a UUID. It wasn't in currently today, because we use database in a couple of environments. It's not. It's an init. So
Actually, it's a big int.
yeah, it's a big
That
int, yeah.
that is a change that happened on the framework in the 7 era.
Well, will big int do UUIDs?
No.
It won't. Right. So the fact that it was a UUID, I'm like, oh well, that's interesting. I'm like, oh well, that's interesting. I wonder if UUIDs will just become something easier to implement now, because I mean I have a package out there for implementing UUIDs because we use them all over the place. But if he already has some sort of UUID solution for jobs, it would be nice to just say, yeah, always use the UUIDs. So
is that the case? Did you find
I
that
don't
out,
know.
or is that not?
That's not something he talked about. It's just something I noticed, and I do think that there was one part that he showed another table. It might have been the user table where I noticed there wasn't a UUID. So I don't know. I just noticed it on the jobs table. I'm like, oh, that would be very nice if he made doing UUIDs easier. And he obviously has implemented something because he's using them. So I don't know
Right.
what that is, but
Yeah. You mentioned queues, and I've been dealing with those a lot this week. And somebody mentioned that the way Laravel does jobs and queuing. And the problem is with my solution, it was homegrown years ago. And we're using Beanstalk D to store job data. But the way I did it, you start with one queue or one tube. And then over time, you're like, oh, I'm going to do this new thing. And you add another tube. And then you start realizing, oh, the jobs are conflicting. So what I ended up doing was basically having workers that only listen to a single tube, a single queue, for example. Here it is 5-6 years later, and now we have 30 some queues, and we use supervisor D to kind of spread out that load of saying, okay, this is a mission critical queue. We can't let it get backed up. We're going to put 4 processes on there. This one's lower priority. We're going to put 1 or 2 processes on there. This one may get hundreds of thousands of jobs queued up very quickly. So we're going to have 8 or 10 listening there. But when the queues are empty, those processes are just sitting around doing absolutely nothing. And this is the only time I've ever used queues in my life. I haven't used Laravel's queues. So the fact that it was homegrown was nice.
Horizon has this idea of floating processes. So you have to have one process per named queue, but you can spawn 30 total processes if you have 10 queues, and it's supposed to manage itself. In my experience, it doesn't. And I get the feeling that there is a comp sci person out there who could look at the code and just go, oh yeah, right there, you don't have logic for determining long-term execution on blah 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 blah. There's someone out there smarter than me who's knows exactly what's going on there, but I just look at it and I'm like, there's 5,000 items in one of my queues and I've got 15 queues idle. Why aren't they doing something?
Yeah. Well, with what I've built, the homegrown solution, I manually listen to a single tube. Like the supervisor job says, listen to tube X. Now, it's very easy to say, no, listen to multiple, listen to all. So we finally decided today, why don't we try backing that down, changing that whole thing up, listen to all of the queues at one time, because the data in the queue says you need to run this code. You need to call this controller, for lack of a better term. Finish the job and you're done. What the nice part about that is it's going to, all of these queues that have absolutely no jobs or one or two jobs in a month, those processes are now going to be free to work on other jobs that are sitting there waiting to be done. So I'm excited about it. I'm hoping that it passes. This was not approved by management before before opening the PR, so I'm hoping that they look at it like, oh, that's a good idea.
In a couple of years.
Couple years.
Oh, I did. You had some Q stuff, and then I have another story.
Yeah, I did have. Let me wrap up a few things here. So Taylor did introduce in Laravel 8 I think he called it batching process of queues. So you can actually batch queues, and that batch can run. And what's cool about it is, as the batch is working through all the jobs in it, it gives you a status of how far it is. So you actually get a feedback from that batch job of, hey, I'm 20% done, I'm 50% done, I'm 70% done, hey, I'm done. That was kind of cool. But Taylor...
So is that... How... I want to stay on that for a second. Are you saying if in a web request I say, hey, go start this job, am I waiting for that? Or are you talking about there's some other way to get that data afterwards?
You put me on the spot. I don't know a good use case of it. I mean, I don't know.
I think I've got the answer if you want to know it.
Okay. Lay it on me.
When you create the batch job, you get a batch ID, and then you can query the bus, say, hey, find this batch, and then get information on it.
And how far it is.
Your front end could be polling, or you could use server sent events where something is watching that and updating your UI for you.
Yeah, there you go. We have that one client where we're queuing stuff up, and they have to come back, and it'll say, oh yeah, your documents are ready. Well, now they can come back and see their document is 50% completed, 60% completed. So that would be kind of we have a use case of that for that now. One thing I wanted to ask you guys about, because Taylor used a term that I wasn't familiar with, and then when I went to look into it, I think I saw what it was he was referring to, but I've never used it before, and I don't know why I haven't used it, because it seems to make sense. But he has I forget where he was talking about. I think he was talking about this new queuable trait for like anonymous functions or something. Like before you couldn't queue up an anonymous function, but now he has this new queuable method you can call on it. But he called it a namespaced function, and basically what he's doing is at the top where you have your use, and you have your path. This one is a use function path to the function. And the best I can tell is that's just importing. I don't know why he called it namespaced function, or if that's something I'm just not familiar with, but I was wondering if you guys had heard of this or not. And have you ever used namespace import or function importing in namespace, which again, I haven't, and I'm looking at this, I'm like, I don't know why I don't use this. This seems to make sense.
It sounds familiar, but I think it's new, but I'm not sure on that. Oh,
PHP 5.
Yeah, it's not new. You can wrap a function within a namespace.
Right. And that's just referred to as importing, though, right? That's not a namespace.
Well, no, because it's an attribute of the namespace aliasing / importing functionality. So it's like you have an anonymous function, but then you give it a name, so it's not anonymous anymore.
Okay, it's not something I've used. It looks like it'd be useful. I just haven't used it.
I haven't used it like that, but I've had to alias namespaces before for packages that conflicted in the namespace.
But that's just I've used alias before. That's something different though. That's not, you're not importing a function.
No, but you can you can. So you do a namespace with a normal namespace tag, and then you use your opening and closing braces, and then put a function in there, so that when you call it, you have to call it with the namespace / function name.
Hmm.
As far as an anonymous namespace function, that I don't know. I've never heard of that. I would like to see that.
Yeah. So just another one of those things. It wasn't a topic of discussion. It's just one of these things he mentioned, and I wasn't familiar, so I had to go kind of figure it out. But yeah, the only other thing that was cool, or not cool, that I kind of look forward to, but then kind of not, is he talked about the new what do you call it? I think it was called SQL Dump. No, that's not SQL Dump, right? Yeah, SQL Dump. That's what he called it. Which is, you run SQL Dump on your database, and it just basically takes all your schemas and puts it into one file, so you no longer need all the migrations anymore.
Yeah, migration merging.
Right. I think the artisan command, I want to say it's called schema dump is what it's called. Now, the weird thing about that, well, the weird and good thing about it is that it puts it all in one big file. It's raw SQL, so it would address our issue that we're having at DigitalOcean. And of course, right now he's saying that it only supports MySQL, Postgres, and I want to say there was a third. MySQL and Postgres are obviously the two we would be worried about. MySQL really is the only one. But my only question was, but if you run that schema dump, you're still held to whatever data store that the dump was run on. So if you want to migrate from MySQL to Postgres, I don't think you can do it with the SQL dump, because I think the SQL dump would be specific to MySQL. So, because in his example, he's like, well, now you can just delete all these migrations. I'm like, well, hold on. You might not want to delete those migrations, because you can still run the migrations against other data stores, and Eloquent will figure out the correct way to do that stuff. So, we've had cases where we've wanted to do this. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't understand what the problem is with running the migrations again. I get that there's a lot, but you don't look at them. Like, you just keep moving forward. I don't get it, but I understand there are developers that like it. And even Taylor said, you never do this in production. You would never run the SQL schema dump in production, because production, that should be moving forward with migrations. This SQL schema dump was just something you did for your development environments. So when new developers came online, they didn't have to run all these SQL statements. I'm like, it's not like they're running them by hand. They just run through them. I'm not a huge kind of, like, this is not something I felt was something that was needed, but so many developers want this, and I don't know. I just not a big deal. And even so, we might be doing it wrong, but when we're doing migrations, if there's known data that we want in there, like if we have a state table and we want to say, okay, here are the different types of states, or we want to populate certain users in the user table, we do that in the migration. When you do the SQL dump, I don't think you're grabbing, I'm pretty sure you're not grabbing the data. I think you're just grabbing the schemas. And that would be a problem. I don't know for sure. Again, he was blowing through all this stuff, but what he showed, and there's even a switch you can throw when you do the dump called --prune that deletes the migrations for you. I'm like, but I don't want to delete the migrations. Move them to an archived file, because I have a feeling I'm going to need them again. But
I still don't understand what this is getting you, other than fewer files in your migrations folder.
So how many migrations do you think I have in my folder?
I don't care, but 300. I mean, what's it
very
matter?
close. 365.
But see, this is my point. What's
That's
it
a
matter?
whole second.
But you don't. Who cares? You're building a machine. Who cares if it's a whole second? You don't have. It's not like you have to keep going back through those files. Like, oh yeah, where did I add this column? You just keep moving the migrations forward. I don't understand. So there's a lot of migrations. Yes, you know what would be nice? Give me the ability to create a folder structure where I can have an archived folder in there, so I can move. Just to keep the freshest migrations. If that's what your problem is, but I don't know.
I think the problem here is boredom.
I'm
at 314 in mine.
I honestly think the problem is boredom.
Boredom? What do you mean?
I think he needed to write something and was like, well, here's a thing to write. You laugh, but I really think a lot of this.
When you're bored, you don't write code. You do photo shoots
with fancy cars.
Boy, that didn't play out well on Twitter.
No. Let's not get political, though. So, John, you had something you were going to talk about pull requests, and I kept interrupting you.
No, it's fine. Thomas was talking about my everlasting pull requests, and this isn't an everlasting one, but it is annoying when you open a pull request that you've tested, and it sits there for a month. Other things change, and then all of a sudden your pull request breaks. I mean, and they're like, will you please end-to-end test this? I'm like, I did end-to-end test this.
3 months ago when I created it.
When I opened it, it was tested. There were other decisions made. And so I vented about that and then realized, okay, there have been like 3 or 4 other pull requests that have been horrible or lots of errors. So this was just one more on top of that. It's just like I said earlier, it's been a rough week.
I literally
Super
tried
rough.
to keep the longest running open pull request from John in one of our repos. Then I learned.
Is this still there?
No, you closed it, you dork.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, I just learned I got to learn that John had closed it. I'm like, damn it, that was not closed for a purpose.
I don't remember. I don't remember closing
I
it.
think I had it up to like 2 years.
I think my site was hacked. My account was hacked. It wasn't me.
I have an answer for you on what the schema dump thing does.
Did I have a question?
Yes.
You're
Okay.
here now.
Tell me.
What does it do?
It runs MySQL dump, skip add drop table, skip add lock, skip comment, skip character set, TZ-UTC, sets the host, the port, the username and password, and the database.
Does it?
So you get the data.
You get the data?
So it looks like it.
Actually, no. I
that
think
would-
you have to say you want the data.
I said that could
See,
actually introduce a ton of issues if you have sensitive data that you don't want with developers' machines.
From what I understand, this gets the data.
I don't think so. I'd be
I'm
surprised.
reading it.
Because you think about it, if it's geared for developers, all you're worried about are the schemas, and then you have factories to populate that. You don't want
So you think.
data.
It also says skip set character set, which is not a good command to run on a dump.
You said it also
Especially if
says
you're-
skip drop, right? Skip drop or something.
Skip add drop table.
Add drop table.
That's not bad. That way, if you accidentally ran this in production, you're not going to blow away your tables.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that
Still,
makes sense.
It should be being brought into a fresh database.
Mm-hmm.
this is a 101 line implementation of a
Frick package, a spotty package.
101 line abstract. So it's already 200 lines of code to run MySQL dump. That's not including the command.
Yeah.
That's,
I
it
mean, again, I don't see a need for it.
feels like boredom.
Wow, yeah, that was impressive. You wouldn't look that up, huh? You guys do better than I do with that. So yeah, that's literally all the topics I had to talk about. We
Oh,
can wrap up the show now.
yeah. You have to say you don't want data. You get data by default unless you say no
I
data.
do get data.
Yeah. So, the way the command currently is in master, it will give you your data as well.
So you probably wouldn't run this on your production machine to create the schema. You would always run it like outside of production.
Yeah, which there is already a much better way of doing this.
It's called the MySQL dump command.
No,
Yeah.
guess who wrote it? His name is Spady.
Well,
This is a thing I would
thought
like
that's
to
what you were going
use.
to tell me. I thought you were going to tell me this is just a Spady package. And
There is a Spady package that you can use to back up tables piece by piece and restore piece by piece with timestamps and however you want to name it, as like point versions. So you can have a point version of your database with your point version of your testing data.
oh,
So
interesting.
that as you move forward, if you need to support an old version of your software, you've got point releases of your test database as well. Which, I mean, yes, you can roll back to old versions and run your install system again, but having those point releases makes some QA tasks much nicer. So running 1,000 tests when you need to seed your database and it takes 3 hours to seed.
Mm-hmm. And
So
we were talking earlier about it seemed like it was the same people releasing stuff kind of along that same lines. I don't want to say it because they're kind of a competitor, but a regular speaker at Laracon released a tool called Takeout, which is again it was one of those things like, why do we have this? It's designed. It's not designed to replace Valet or Homestead. It's meant to kind of pair with it, and it's a Docker implementation. If I understood what they were saying correctly, it's a Docker implementation that allows you to run like multiple versions of like databases, for example, or Redis or whatever on a per project basis. I'm like, there's already tools out there. First thing, it's Docker, so it's not that difficult. The people who create what's the tool I use? Table Plus. The people who do Table Plus have something out there called DB Engine or DB Engine. I think is what it's called, but there's no E, so it's DBNGIN, which allows you to basically do the same thing. It allows you to create multiple like databases, different versions of databases. You can spin them up, spin them down, change the ports, blah blah blah. It also ties into Homebrew. It has a nice little UI. It's Mac specific, but I think this version of Takeout was Mac specific as well. Although when I went to the GitHub repo, it made references to Linux and stuff. And if it's just Docker, I don't see why it wouldn't be. But I don't know. It was just another one of those tools. It's like, can I get like a technical talk of substance here instead of you guys just telling us something? To Thomas's point, another tool you created because you're bored. It's like I don't care.
I did not say that.
I don't care. It's hard to, especially when they're remote conferences. It's hard to get excited about this stuff anymore. It's just like, give me some texture. Give me something.
Well, yeah. The biggest problem with these remote conferences is that YouTube exists.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's nothing about the content of these conferences is questionable. None of it is not advertiser friendly. Everyone who has written these packages has their presentation about the package up on YouTube already. The point of the conference is kind of lost in doing an online conference that just doesn't cover anything.
I mean, even
difficult.
Even the Livewire from Caleb, at least he was talking about, okay, here's where I am at with this package. It's not, oh yeah, this is what else I did. Hey, I'm doing this now. It's like this package is moving. So the same way Taylor is giving kind of a state of the union of Laravel, which is, it's Laracon, it's supposed to. I'm actually more open to what Caleb did and basically do the same thing for his package in the ecosystem of Laravel. So, okay, here's where we were with Livewire, here's what I've done, here's where I'm going. And just all these other people coming in saying, oh, we decided to do this, and oh, we did this, and next year we're going to do something completely different, and I don't care anymore. It's like, it just...
And there's a big hitter out there who didn't get mentioned, which was Xdebug 3.
Oh?
Basically rewritten from the ground up. It has a new info panel page that you can hit. It has support for all of the new PHP stuff, all of the upcoming PHP 8 stuff, and is a fundamental tool in our toolbox. That's like, for some reason, I just don't see it get coverage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been all into. I told you I was doing that refactoring. I couldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for Xdebug. I mean, just stepping in, just walking through this code with Xdebug is, couldn't do it without it.
Yeah, and now Laravel News, Xdebug 3 did make it to Laravel News, but they're really just reporting on Derek Rathan's talk at Scott PHP 19. But there's a lot of new stuff that needs to be understood and needs to be known by serious developers.
Mm-hmm.
As for not serious developers, did you guys hear about WordPress?
No. Why would you say not serious developers? But no, I haven't.
Well, we talked last week about the sort of unfolding situation with the Apple Store and the Epic Games Company and Fortnite and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Apple actually ended up threatening to pull all of the dev keys for Epic Games, which includes the Unreal 3 engine.
Okay.
Which would have been a massive, massive blow to Apple. It would have been shooting themselves in their own foot. They've rolled back on that, so Epic is to keep its keys, but they still can't host Fortnite. And the issue is that Fortnite has an in-game currency that you can buy, but they want to sell it themselves. They don't want to sell it through the App Store.
They don't want to give Apple their cut, right?
30%.
Right. Which the case was made before Apple implemented that 30%. Developers were typically giving 70% to these channels that offered their software. Go ahead and inhale that vape pen and let me know your thoughts.
Well, it's not clear why, but Apple decided to pick a fight with WordPress.
Okay.
WordPress has a free app that lets you manage some of your WordPress profile stuff, some of your things that you get
blogs,
through.
Everything. It's actually a nice app. I've used it before.
Yeah. But WordPress is also a company and sells services like selling domain names or hosting or that kind of thing.
I think they have like an app store like Apple where they do themes and plugins and stuff. They sell those as well.
So Apple sent them a cease and desist and said, hey, if you're going to sell things through your app, you need to sell it through the App Store.
Oh, interesting. So I don't remember things being sold through the app.
Because it's just a web interface. It's just it's services that are provided by WordPress. I mean, I don't even. You're not buying tokens or V-Bucks. You're buying a service provided by WordPress through their like, hey, manage your domains or add a domain button.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really thin line, and somebody decided, hey, we're going to take this up because if we let you do it, we're going to have to let everyone do it.
So they pulled WordPress?
They threatened to pull WordPress, but then Apple issued an apology. Said, we're sorry. We believe the issue with your app has been resolved. But it appears that this is because WordPress removed the ability to purchase anything through the app.
Oh, so WordPress complied basically with Apple.
Right.
All right. So Apple still
So
doesn't make money off
it wasn't
of
an apology
No.
so much as WordPress caved.
So it's weird because I have my movies that I purchase. I purchase through Google. So it's Google Movies, I think is what the app's called on my phone. So I can buy the app. I can buy movies on my phone, on my computer. But on my iPad, I can't. I can only watch them. So if there's a new movie that comes out and I want it, I have to go to another device and buy it. And then I can go back to the iPad and watch it. It's like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you making my experience on your iPad difficult? Because Google's not going to give you the money. They don't need to give you the money. They have their avenues of sale. And I don't know. I think that's I mean, Apple needs to make money, and I get that, but I don't know.
But here's the weird question. It's like if I run a business and I have an app that lets you pay your invoices through the app, does that mean like now I have to give Apple a 30% cut?
So are you saying like DoorDash? Do they give Apple a 30% cut because when somebody orders DoorDash through an iPhone, they get a percentage?
That's what it sounds like.
I don't know.
But I don't know either. And they seem to be trying to blur the lines because it was realized after Apple made this announcement that they have complied, that WordPress complied. Somebody looked at it and said like, hey, my app hasn't updated in weeks. There wasn't a payment option there. I don't know why they thought there was.
That's weird. Was that the story?
Spotify filed an antitrust complaint with the European Union because of this same issue. So if you buy Spotify through the app, you're getting 30% to the App Store instead of to Spotify.
So what? I mean, just playing devil's advocate here. What would a proposed solution be, where Apple's able to stay in business, make money, when the argument has already been made that they've greatly reduced the threshold for developers to sell things online by creating a channel.
That's the whole argument.
Yeah.
Is that they act as one of the payment gateway options, and since they are the easiest payment gateway to go through, then you can use them if you wish. But if you don't want to use them, you don't have to. That's the whole argument.
Oh, you're saying that's the solution developers want. So they still want Apple to host their apps on their store, sell through their store, but they don't want to have to pay them anything if they decide they don't want to pay them anything.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. As a business owner, I have. I mean, I think I agree with you. I think there needs to be an option. If you as a developer say, I'm not going to use you as my payment gateway, I as Apple should say, okay, there's a hosting fee then. You have to pay us $1,000 a year to host your application or whatever, whatever amount that is. I could see that. I mean,
if it was a reasonable amount, I wouldn't say no to that either.
I think that,
but it has to be a reasonable amount. It has to account for the bandwidth used in hosting it.
Well, what's so we've had this discussion internally. It's like, what's reasonable? Is it reasonable that we as a company make money, off of the services we're offering? Because that's what we do. So you as the consumer might not think that's reasonable because you feel like you're paying more than what you're actually getting. But that's how companies work. Like, you buy a $2...
Right, but that's the reason antitrust is structured the way it is so that works in a way that profits both parties. And the reason that this is an issue right now is because there's only two parties, and they are conspiring together to maximize profits over the individuals. So antitrust should be in place here.
I think that's the biggest argument, because the out I feel Google always had, because when you said two parties, I assume the other party you're referring to is Google, right?
Alphabet, yes.
Yeah, Alphabet. I think the out that Alphabet always had is that Google doesn't prohibit you from sideloading applications. So if you want to sideload an app on an Android device, you're more than welcome to do so. Not everybody knows how to do it. It's not straightforward.
It's very easy, though. Actually, if you try to sideload an app straight off the web, it'll just ask you if
super
you're sure.
Simple. Yeah, I think I give them a pass. I think Apple needs to concede that. They need to say, okay, you can sideload apps now, but we're not going to not charge people.
The reason that Apple won't concede that is because they have positioned themselves as the secure
No, I get that.
phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that has bought them a lot of not just goodwill, but government contracts as well. The fact that their phones can't be sideloaded means that their phones can go into government buildings.
Well,
whereas
let's be clear. It's not that they can't be. It's not as easy as doing it with an Android.
They make it hard.
Yeah.
They make it real hard.
Yeah.
And so their position is, well, we can't allow sideloading. So my position is, if you can't allow sideloading, then you have to allow third-party payment gateways. You can't have it both ways. You can't say we don't allow sideloading, so you don't own your own phone, and you have to use our payment gateway on any app that you ever install on the phone ever. That's a corporation taking advantage of a monopoly. Because if they weren't a monopoly, then they couldn't say that, and they would just get bumped off the market. Competition would clearly dictate, hey, sorry guys, you're out of here. But because Apple and Microsoft and Google have these monopolies, then they can set whatever arbitrary rules they want to, and their fee could be 80-90%. The reason it's not is because some lawyer did the math on which one would get them sued first and how much could they make before they got sued. Mm-hmm. But if they wanted to raise their rate to 90% tomorrow, they would send out a mass email that said change in terms of service, and then they would raise the rate a week later. And no one could do anything. And Epic is the first company that's big enough to actually sue Apple and stand the test of time in court to deal with it. No one else could.
Do you think they'll win, though? See, I feel like it was a smart move on Epic's part, because I think they strategically decided when they were going to do this, and they kind of struck.
It was clearly warfare. It wasn't just like a change in policy. It was absolutely warfare.
Yeah.
Because they had all fronts covered before they attacked, and then they released this barrage of anti-Apple media that, just it was a smart move. And to Epic, 30% is in the billions.
But it's still, if 30% is in the billions, that means they're making 70% of billions.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know. All right.
So that's my Apple hate story.
All right.
You know what's coming up soon?
What's coming up? The end of the show? We here?
Hacktoberfest.
It's August, September. I guess so. Coming up soon.
We're almost into September.
Are you going to try to participate this year?
I am, because Hacktoberfest sent out a pre-tember email. Said, here's how you prepare for Hacktoberfest. Here's how you issue a pull request, how you find something that you can deal with, how you engage the community. So for the next month before Hacktoberfest starts, here's
Thomas is gonna learn
material.
how to use Git. Oh, what?
Shh. You're not supposed to say that part out loud. They have a whole list on how to prepare for beginners, how to prepare as a maintainer. So if you have something that you want to participate with, they also have event organizer information, which I don't remember seeing last year.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did. I'm pretty sure they did all this last year.
So the event organizer thing is for holding, organizing virtual and in-person meetups to pick a project to work on.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a thing last year.
They also have a guide on how to participate as a company and why you would want to participate as a company to pay for your employees to work on a Hacktoberfest project.
I will take a look at that.
So a lot of good information about October here in early or late August, early September.
Yeah, but it'll still be August when this releases, maybe. I've been turning these things around pretty quick, so.
They suggest against doing that. They like quality over quantity.
Yeah, but you know what? They're just not going to get the quality. Let's be real. We've been doing this for 203 shows. The quality is where it's at. It doesn't get much better.
We're doing good.
Yeah. All right. But I think that's it. I think that's episode 203 right there. We're done. 203 is in the books. What do you say?
We're done.
All right.
This has been a long one.
Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks Patreons
Thank
for your support. As always, at some point I'll get back to OBS and I'll get the cooler slides back up. But for now, trust me, we got something in the works. I'm excited about it. But
did you get those keychains sent out?
I did not. Thank you for pointing that out. But I wasn't here. I told you last week I was leaving for Arizona.
That's true.
I wasn't here.
You have a fair excuse.
I'll get them done. I need to go buy some envelopes to get them out. And if you're listening to this, if you're a Patreon, if you're outside the country, we have some additional parameters before we send you the keychains. Basically, you've kind of got to stick with us a little longer than I think the 2 or 3 months for the U.S. people. Basically, we just need you to cover the cost to send it to you. So I'll just make that determination as I'm going through the list. I noticed a few people were in Brazil. There was a couple in Canada. So I'll see how long you've been a Patreon and figure out, if we can afford to send you something.
Well, you might have missed the announcement. But Patreon has launched a fulfillment system for their rewards program.
Are you for real?
I am for real.
I totally missed the announcement. I will look into that. Maybe we'll actually come up with some neat rewards. The only reason I haven't come out with better rewards is because I don't really feel like dealing with it. It's a terrible thing, but it's the truth.
All right, that ends the episode.
All right, that's it. Episode 203 in the books. I'm Eric.
I'm John.
I'm Tom.
Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly.
Woo. Buttery, you're on my list, baby. You're getting I think you're our number one contributor, so you're gonna get something. I just need to get to the post office and see. I gotta make sure I have your address correct too. I might ping you in Discord here the next day or two to make sure, because I don't know the format for addresses in Japan. So I'll send you what I have and see if that will get to you. All right.
Here, I'm gonna post this. I'm gonna post this in Slack. Check this out.
You guys going to?
They have a whole merch.
Oh, they actually have merch.
That's a whole merch system. You send them the logo, and they handle the merch and the tier level management for you.
Oh, that OBS Streamlabs does this as well. That I thought about doing, but is this for rewards or is this for people to purchase?
This is for rewards and for purchase. So they have a recommended tier level and how much it costs you as the producer.
Interesting. We can get PHP ugly hoodies. $31 recommended 35, and then they pay the shipping, or how's that work?
The customer pays the shipping.
I mean, yeah.
No, it
So
says global shipping included, so it looks like they pay the shipping.
so I can set up a reward where I can say, hey, if Patreon contributes $50, they get a hoodie, and then they'll just take our cost for the hoodie out of that 50.
Yep.
What?
From what it appears, the hoodie is a $31 cost,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a $35 recommended tier, so we would only make $4 on it. But
But if I set the tier at
Now-
50, I can set it at whatever I want.
I also believe that this is a pro level membership thing, so we would have to be pro Patreon tier.
I don't know what a pro Patreon
Which-
tier is. I don't think there's such a thing.
We already are.
We are.
We
It's
are.
a what 3% fee on top of the base fee to be Patreon Pro.
I really don't know if we are. I just wanted to say we were because I like being pro.
There's a pro and premium, so I don't know what we are. I don't think we signed up for anything, to be honest with you.
But I believe
we haven't signed up for anything.
Where
I
do you
believe that
find
you
this?
can send in your own merch and they'll fulfill it for you as well.
How do
My
you
scroll
find out?
button.
How do you find out what you
You're-
are and how to upgrade?
We're on the founders plan, whatever that is.
There was no founder's plan. There was a light, a pro, and a premium.
I know. We are grandfathered in.
Oh.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, it's the merch is just the merch that they offer. It's not custom. It's not your own items.
You're killing me, Thomas. Right out, you're killing me.
Still, there's a bunch of different its available. We
Yeah,
could
but if
just
it's
send
not our merch, why do we care?
because we design it through them.
I need my logo on it. I mean, it's a marketing thing, man.
I'm sure there's another fulfillment company that works just fine with.
There's a few of them out there.
There you go.
Teespring is an
Fanjoy.
example. What's that?
Intuit, QuickBooks, Self-Employed.
It says customize an item.
Merch that makes your membership better. Patreon.
Upload your design. Step 1. Simply
Step
choose
one?
from a selection of high quality items and upload your design.
Yes, it's the choose from a selection part that we want to send them what we already have made.
No, I think
No,
that's
we have T-shirts. We could put our logo on a T-shirt.
yeah. It says upload your design. You know what? This is why you work in the mailroom, Thomas.
It's not a mailroom.
Killing me.
This
Killing
is
me.
This is the starter planet for.
We can have
Outer
a PHP
Worlds.
ugly mug, T-shirt, or hoodie. I would do those three right off the bat. Then of course they have the stickers. Although I think our stickers are nicer, but 3% fee in addition to your Patreon base fee. What's the 3%? 3% of what?
of
Whatever
your
their
income.
They're just like Apple.
I have an interesting moral question for you guys.
We're still
Do you
streaming.
really want
just
to talk
FYI.
morals?
That's
I don't
fine.
think you really want to talk
Okay.
morals.
Let's do it.
I bought this.
Oh, here we go. Okay,
This
a third of a gun.
I'm disappearing.
You've got to kill the background because it's you're losing it. Okay, what's your
Are you
moral
gonna
question?
Are you gonna go stand outside a gas station and shoot someone?
No, so this is a
Slide.
a sliding stock,
Mm-hmm.
although not technically a stock for legal reasons.
What's the moral question? I'm stopping recordings, by the way.
It retails for $150 in the U.S.
Okay.
and I bought this one from China for $25.
Okay. And you
And
gotta how much did it cost to get shipped to you? $25?
$0.
Okay. So what's the moral question?
It doesn't appear to be a counterfeit or a copy.
Uh-huh.
It appears to be the exact legitimate product from the exact same molds that the official one uses. Which is a common thing in counterfeit stuff in China, is that when the factory shuts down, the next shift comes in and makes a bunch of unauthorized versions and sells those unauthorized versions through the counterfeit market. So it's technically counterfeit because it's not authorized by the company, but it's the exact same item.
Okay. I mean, you purchased it legally, though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But how bad should I feel?
Not bad. I mean, you just found an avenue to get it cheaper. It's like going to a dollar store and finding a plate that another store has for $25 they have for $1. It's you talked about free market. It's free market.
All right.
Now the fact that you're doing business with China, that's what you should feel bad about.
Yet I don't.
All right.
It does say our current plan is pro.
It does say we're pro?
Nice.
Yeah, so when I click on account, well, you have to go to pro plus merch, which is an additional 3%.
Again, 3% of what we get from our Patreons? I'm fine with that.
Yeah. For every dollar we get, we're going to give another 3 cents away.
Yeah, I mean...
That's pretty awesome. Let's get some shirts.
You realize you can just have shirts made, and then it's a one-time fee versus 3% month after month after month.
Yes, but then you have to ship those shirts out, and as we've seen, that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, the only thing I would be worried about is quality and all that. But if they're handling like if I don't have to like go in there and check people's reward levels and make sure that they contributed enough, which is one of the things we screwed up on, because like I think for the reward level that we have a caveat of, hey, you have to stay a member for 3 months or something like that, so that we could.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that that's like an officially supported,
right,
like reward level.
So I don't know. I mean,
the problem is with those, like they're saying they recommend a $25 tier.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to have a $25 tier member.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So it's not a matter of when they pay $25. It's you have to have a $25 tier.
I think so.
That would make more sense.
I think it's something that we should look at what rules you can set, because if they have you've been a member for 5 months, you get a shirt rule, then that's 100% what we should do.
I mean, let's be real. Nobody's asking us for ugly T-shirts or ugly hoodies. I don't think that's going to be a selling point here.
I'm pretty sure most of our Patreons forgot what that line item in their
credit card
bank account actually means.
Shh, Buttery's still on. Buttery's still
buy
watching.
Something ugly? I don't remember buying something ugly.
I keep buying it month after month. I don't know what's going on.
See, this is the real problem. I remember working for a company where we would intentionally not remind them that they had a subscription with us.
That's actually very common.
So we start sending shirts out. We're going to see people remembering that they're giving us money, and they're going to cancel their memberships.
Yeah, that's a real thing. Matter of fact, we just canceled Social Pilot, and I had to go in there and ask them to refund us because I never hear from Social Pilot, and then all of a sudden,
hold on,
we get hit.
Buttery's typing. This could be bad. He might have heard us.
You guys need to go play your Rocket League. I need to go. Bed.
Yes, I do. Buttery forgot his Patreon password.
true, but it's hysterical.
Oh.
All right. I'm gonna end the stream. Buttery, thanks for hanging out with us. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you guys.
Yes, thank you.
Talk to you guys
Bye.
later.